Hi everyone, today let's learn relative clauses. Ole vina chon relative clauses kan zirdona mizo tungin thai patop in han soi fiale kan tumaga relative clauses to enge. What is a relative clauses? Relative clauses to enge kan ti chuan when we want to combine two sentences that refer to the same noun, we use relative clauses. Combine ti chu zom ti nan da two sentences. Sentence panni that refers to the same noun. Noun chu ming anita a ming amo enge mo katiang kha ming panni thil panni in trom kan zom khom khan chu relative clause chu netani noun kha the noun can be a subject or an object in a sentence a khan noun kha subject emo object emo po ani theini. So when we want to combine two sentences that refers to the same noun, we use relative clauses. The noun can be a subject or an object in a sentence. Sentence panni noun soi fia tu kan combine khan relative clauses tu nitani relate ti to inzom ti na mo. It's one example lo enta ila fia zok nan. Hey ale ma hian mi pa panni an omta a the man is my brother. Entita, the man is my brother. Pani ano miao wang in the sentence is not clear because there are two men. Tu zo khang ya unaw pa ka siat law ni pani ano miao wang khan. This one defining relative clause. Relative clause atan the man who is standing is my brother. The man who is standing is my brother. Ading zo ka ko unaw pa ni who is standing like ka relative clause to anitani. The man is my brother ati khan kalai pa omjigmi kha pa kha aunaw pa ni ti chu kan hringe mai ama se pani mi pa panin om miao wang khan tu zok khange kan hrelawa mo the sentence is not clear because there are two men mi pa panin om miao wangin which one is his brother khoi zok khange unaw pa ti kha kan hrelawa aron soifia unaw pa ti ron soifia tu the man who is standing is my brother who is standing aron soifia tu noun ron soifia tu kha relative clause so ani. This one achian le zok nan what is a relative clause kon soi le lo kang relative clause ring kon this one it starts with the relative pronouns. It starts with the relative pronoun in bul aron chan three ani who, which, that, whose, where, when, whom, and why. Khang ho kha tekinan sentence dir bera om chuan interrogative ani thina ma se akar laka om khan relative ani thina ni. The example the man who called you is my dentist. The man who called you is my dentist. Who called you kha that is the relative clause. One adot le defining relative clause le non-defining relative clause. Defining relative clause to engeni non-defining relative clause to engeni. Defining relative clause to one essential information a tool tak min lo shiatira that we need to understand what or who is being referred to. That we need to understand what or who is being referred to. Enge amo tunge ani ti chiang taka min shil tu hi defining relative clause to ani a. Look at the example and enter na kalo entaira the dentist who treated me is my uncle. The dentist who treated me is my uncle. So it gave us an essential information. Achan chu tu dentist nge who treated me min enkol tu kha mo ama enkol tu kha apate ani. It's one non-defining relative clause lo en vele taira non-defining relative clause achan extra information tool la wasoi tel te na ne chu. My uncle is a dentist. My uncle is a dentist, comma hipoi modonia otintero. My uncle is a dentist who plays at the same cricket club as you. My uncle is a dentist who plays at the same cricket club as you. Kapate chu dentist ani cricket club ikhelna khelve thau khani. Who plays at the same cricket club as you. That is an extra information. Comma zo nuwa extra information tool lo ron soi thrina kha non-defining relative clause so ani. Vikat en le taila defining and non-defining relative clause to In defining relative clause, there is no comma. Defining relative clause at one comma ha but in non-defining relative clause, we find there's a comma. The dentist who treated me is my uncle. The dentist who treated me is my uncle. There is no comma in the sentence, but in non-defining relative clause, my uncle is a dentist, comma, who plays at the same cricket club as you. Ka comma tong ringot po kan defining and non-defining relative clause to interchang thayang in chinchia thayang o. Relative clauses starts with a relative pronoun. It starts with a relative pronoun who, which, that, whose, where, whom, when, and why. Kanti to kamo kang relative pronoun in bulan rantran kanti ka kang mangkhan afia le zwal nan example kanan soidon ni. In defining relative clause, by using who for people, the woman who lived next door is a doctor. The woman who lived next door is a doctor who lives next door. That shows it is a relative clause. And in non-defining relative clause, who for people, my brother Tim, who lives in Scotland is a doctor. My brother Tim, who lives in Scotland is a doctor. Who live in Scotland shows that it is a relative clauses. And for by using which for things in defining and non-defining relative clause. Brian works for a company which makes computer. Brian works for a company which makes computer. That shows that it is a relative clauses. Note that a sentence which is written in green color shows it is a relative clause. O rong shinga in ziak khan relative clause ni tia in tirzela ni ti khashita ila te chuan kan chiar de pop mayanga in lo en wang an kin in lo khai khin don ya o. Non-defining which for things. Brian told me about his new job, which he is not enjoying very much. Brian told me about his new job, which he is not enjoying very much. Kami non-defining katon comma nung lama ashinga in zia khan extra information ani kan tito kamo kami kha tello ma sila annaw na kha afia sa to shim ani so non-defining clause chuan it gives an extra information kan te kha to lo binor shil tel kan de kamo and whose instead of his, her, or their. We met some people whose car had broken down. We met some people whose car has broken down. Non-defining whose instead of his, her, or their. Sam, whose car has broken down, was in a bad mood. Sam, whose car had broken down, was in a bad mood. Where for places. What is the name of the place where you went on holiday? What is the name of the place when you went on holiday? Where for places. Jane had just been to Oxford where her dad lives. Jane has just been to Oxford where her dad lives. Hun soina for time when. I remember the day when I met you. I remember the day when I met you. Non-defining. The picture was taken yesterday when it was raining. The picture was taken yesterday when it was raining. I remember the day when I met you. When I remember the day I met you. It's a complete sentence. It is also correct. I remember the day when I met you. I remember the day I met you. Whom for people as the object of a clause. Defining at one. This is George whom you met last year. This is George whom you met last year. In non-defining. This morning I met Charles, whom I had not seen for ages. This morning I met Charles, whom I had not seen for ages. Why vetung? Why he non-defining man thei lau ti shatur o? Why cannot be used in non-defining relative clause? The film was the reason why he became famous. The film was the reason why he became famous. The film was the reason he became famous. Why tello pokan ta pokan adik thawni. A full sentence adik veve. That instead of who, whom, or which. That he, who, emo, whom, emo, which ayakan mang theya. The picture which hangs on the wall. The picture that hangs on the wall. The woman whom he married. The woman that he married. This is George whom you met last year. This is George that you met last year. Achunga kan suyang chakhan. That also it cannot be used in non-defining relative clause. Why let that he non-defining a aman thelo. Atira ka suyang khan. The noun can be a subject or an object in a sentence. Kan ti kamo relative clause that's one. When we want to combine two sentences that refers to the same noun, we use relative clauses. The noun can be a subject or an object in a sentence. Sentence khan noun kha chang fan du le subject ani theya changin object ani the ni ti kan soya. Chu example en taila, the picture which hangs on the wall is old. The picture which hangs on the wall is old. The picture kha subject ani. The building which is very old, needs repairing. The building which is very old, needs repairing. Picture le building ka subject ani. Mase hnuai akan en le taila. The man who she married is Spanish. The man who she married. The man who she married. Katakan the man ka object ani. The boat owner who we've just seen loves meeting people. The boat's owner who we've just seen loves meeting people. The boat's owner kaka object ani. So sentence akan noun ka atangin it can be a subject and sometimes it can be object as well. Word chuang liam kan ti don mi tu lo kan bel thin. Omit the object pronoun him, her, it, etc. in a relative clause. Look at the example. We know little about the woman that he married. That he married We know little about the woman that he married. We know little about the woman that he married him. Him that he married The picture shows Bob's wife's Lucy, who he married in 2019. The picture shows Bob's wife Lucy, who she married in 2019. The picture shows Bob's wife Lucy, who he married her. In 2019. Her. Tapo ka na til kerangai lau. Pronoun chuang liam ani katiang ka telangai lau ti shatu. Chuan til dang le defining le non-defining a. We cannot use that after a preposition in a relative clause. Relative clause a hian preposition nuwa that man lau tu ani. The room in which the meeting was held was too small. The room in which the meeting was held was too small. The room in which the meeting was held dito. Preposition nuwa. We cannot use that after a preposition in a relative clause. O kaka voina kan zirthei relative clauses te chu nia ngun takin lo enanga in chat thiam lo chuan video hi in lo view non le thidanga example kan pek zong ne khan uluk takin in lo charin in lo en don nia o clause rim hi kan la shefia lo in la shefia lo de oni chuanin phrases and clauses ti kha video shan pa apsa kan ei to khata po khan in lo en don le theyang chuan channel min lo hlut sak thin tu te zong alom thu ka soya in lo hlok pui ngei thin bok ka be se ya chon zo na in nei chuan du le comment section a khan min lo zot a thinanga ka thiam ang in lo chan zel cheu ka tum thin don ya kalome